Hello students and welcome to my English grammar classes. I am Arpana Anand and today I am going to explain the most important topic of grammar, that is tenses. As we know that tense is a very lengthy chapter, so we will learn it part wise. Today I will start with part 1. Before I start explaining tenses in detail, let's quickly have a warm-up session. Here I have put some questions to make you understand tenses in a better way. The first question is, what is a verb? We know that verb is a word which shows action. So all action words are known as verbs. Now, do you know about the 5 forms of verb? Yes, they are V1, V2, V3, V4 and V5. Now, V1 is the base form, V2 is the past tense, V3 is the past participle form, V4 is the ing form, and V5 is the base form plus S or ES added to it. Now look at the example over here. Write, that is the base form. When it is changed into V2 form, it becomes wrote. V3 form is written. V4 is writing, and V5 form will be writes. Write plus S. Now, what do you mean by the term tense? We know that tense is all about time. So tense shows a relationship between the time and the action done. Let's try to understand the definition of tense. Now, tense is defined as the form of verb that gives the relation between time and action. It denotes the time an action takes place, whether sometime in the past, in the present, or will take some time in the future. Now, there are 3 phases of time: present, the time that is now going on; past, time that has already passed away; future, time that is yet to come. Now, this will be more clear through these pictures. Now, look here, the first picture. Here, the boy is eating his lunch, but since the action is over sometime in the past, we'll say that the boy ate his lunch. If you have to talk about the present time, we'll say that the boy is eating his lunch. And suppose the action is going to take place in the future, we will say that the boy will eat his lunch. That means sometime in the future the action will take place. As I proceed further, let's see how tenses have been classified. Now we already know that tenses are of 3 types: present tense, past tense and future tense. Now each tense is further divided into 4 forms. Now look at this diagram given here. Verb tenses have been divided into present, past and future tense. Now present tense is further divided into 4 forms: present indefinite, present continuous, present perfect and then present perfect continuous. Now you can say that present indefinite is also known as simple present. Instead of indefinite, you can also use the term simple. So it is simple present, present continuous, present perfect and then present perfect continuous. Similarly, past indefinite or simple past, past continuous, past perfect and past perfect continuous. Now future tense is further divided into 4 forms. Again, it's like the same way: future indefinite or simple future, future continuous, future perfect and future perfect continuous. Now today in this video I am going to discuss only the present tense. That means the only 2 forms of present tense, that is present indefinite and present continuous. And in my next video I will discuss with you all present perfect and present perfect continuous. To talk about the usage of present tense. So first we begin with present indefinite tense, which is also called simple present tense. Now the first use of simple present tense is to express habitual action, habit or custom. Now what is habitual action? The work or the habit we have formed, that is called habitual action. Suppose we are in the habit of doing something regularly, then that becomes our habitual action. Now look for the example over here. I watch television on Sunday. That means I used to watch television only on Sunday. He walks in the evening. You can see that this is the habit which he has formed, that he will go for a walk in the evening. So in such case, we will use the present indefinite tense. Now, next is to talk about a general or universal truth. Now, what is a universal truth? A truth which is accepted by all. You cannot deny the fact. Now, for example, if I say the earth revolves around the sun, this is a universal truth. Everybody believes that the earth revolves around the sun. You cannot change this fact. Honesty is the best policy. We firmly believe in this general truth. To indicate a future event which is a part of a plan or arrangement. Now, suppose if we have planned an event or action to be done in the future, but that planning has been made in the present time, then there we will be using the simple present tense. For example, the school reopens next week. That means if any school has decided that next week we are going to reopen our school, then the planning will be made in the present time. So here you can see that the verb opens is in the simple present tense. Now next is to introduce quotes with the verb says. You know that says is reporting verb. Now Newton says every action has an equal and an opposite reaction. You can see that here the quoted words, that is every action has an equal and opposite reaction, are the exact words of the speaker Newton, and here the reporting verb is says. In such case, where the quotes are introduced with the verb says, we will always use the simple present tense. Now next point is vivid narration as a substitute for the simple past. Now vivid narration means, suppose if you are narrating a story which has taken place long back and you are doing the narration with strong feeling, then in such case you will again use the simple present tense. For example, if you are narrating the story of Ramayana to somebody, then you can use the simple present tense to describe the actions which have been done in the simple past. Now, in the past, Ravana fights bravely, but he is killed in the end. You can see that the verb fights is in the present tense. It's not that he is fighting right now. The Ramayana had taken place long back, and here when we are doing the narration, we can use the simple present tense to show the strong feeling. Now next is exclamatory sentences that begin with here or there. Now you know that exclamatory sentences are the sentences which shows some strong feelings or actions. Now if the sentence begins with here or there, then they will be written in the simple present tense. Here you go, there he goes. You cannot write here you went. In that case, whenever an exclamatory sentence which begins with here will take the simple present tense. Next point is, simple present tense can be used with conditional clauses to talk about the result in future. Now, before I explain this point, you should know what conditional clause is. We know that clauses are a group of words that make some sense but not complete sense. Now, conditional clauses means where a condition is applied to get the result. Condition applied and then you will get a result out of that. Now, you can see that the conditional sentence clauses always takes if with it. Now, here is an example which shows how it is used. If you do not work hard, you will fail. Here, if you do not work hard is a conditional clause. Condition because the condition is given here that if you do not work hard. Now what will be the result of it? You will fail. That means whenever you are having a conditional clause in a sentence, then you will always use the simple present tense where you are talking about the result that or the outcome that will come in the future. Next example, if you do not earn money, you will not buy the house. Again, the condition is if you do not earn money. So what will be its result? You will not able to buy the house. So these are the examples where simple present tense are used. To learn the structures of different types of sentences in simple present tense. Now, to begin with, I'll first talk about the affirmative sentence. Now, affirmative sentence means a positive sentence. Now, here you can see that the structures which I have given here, I have divided this into two parts, with singular subject and with plural subject so that you can learn in a convenient way. Now, the rule for making or framing an affirmative sentence in simple present tense is like this. When we have a singular subject, it will take with it the first form of the verb, then s or es added to it, plus rest of the predicate. Now look at the example given below. She cooks food in the evening. You can see that the subject is singular here, she. Then we have the first form of the verb, cook, which takes s with it. It becomes cooks, and then the rest of the predicate, food in the evening. Now, one very important thing to observe over here is that you should always check that the verb must agree with its subject. So, with singular subject, we will always have the singular verb. In the same way, when we are having the plural subject, we will always have the plural verb. Now, see the second rule for forming affirmative sentences. When we have the plural subject, it will take with it the first form of the verb and then the rest of the predicate. They play cricket in the evening. You can see that they and play, the subject and the verb agrees with each other. Now moving on to negative sentences. When we have the singular subject, it will take with it does not. Not here because we are talking about a negative sentence where we have to use no or not to show that it is in negation. Then it will be followed by the first form of the verb plus rest of the predicate. See the example. Reena does not watch television. Here Reena is a singular subject. It takes with it does not. Then first form of the verb and finally the rest of the predicate. Reena does not. First form of the verb is watch and then television. So this is a negative sentence where simple present tense has been used. Now with plural subject, we will go with plural subject which will take the verb do, then not plus the first form of the verb and the rest of the predicate. They do not like to swim. The subject here is plural, they. Then do. I told you do will be used here because the verb must agree with its subject. Then the first not is there, and then the first form of the verb, that is like, and the rest of the predicate, to swim. Now moving on to the interrogative sentences. Now when we are forming an interrogative sentence, you can use these two different ways, or two different rules are there for forming interrogative sentences in simple present tense. We know that interrogative sentences are those sentences which ask a question. Now the first one you can see here is, the structure is do or does plus subject. The subject could be singular or plural, and then the first form of the verb and rest of the predicate, and finally at the end you are going to put a question mark. Now see the example. Do you play cricket? We know that do is the verb which will go with plural subject, whereas does is the helping verb which will go with singular subject. Does she wash clothes? Here you can see that if I will write do she wash clothes, then the sentence will be incorrect. We cannot use do with the singular subject. Again, you have to follow the rule of subject-verb agreement. So, does she wash clothes? And at the end, we are putting a question mark. Now, the second rule of forming interrogative sentence is WH question words plus do or does plus subject, singular or plural, plus first form of the verb and then the rest of the predicate, and finally you will put a question mark. Now WH question words mean the question words which begins with WH. Why, when, where, who, how, all these are the WH question words. So you will write that word in the beginning. Always remember, when we are forming a question or interrogative sentence, we will not begin with the subject. You have to begin with the WH question word or the helping verb do or does in simple present tense. Now look for the example here. WH question word. Why do you weep now? Who teaches you English? So here you can see that these are WH question words, and here you will use do or does according to the subject, whether it is singular or plural. The subject verb must agree. Then you will have the V1 form of the verb and finally the rest of the predicate. Dear students, I hope you have understood simple present tense very well. So here we have a practice worksheet to test yourself. Thank you. Stay tuned for the second part of this video.